help out in 1984. I saw it as a chance to give something back to a school, but it's really back to a group of staff members who had given so much to me and my fellow students. So Parkside, thank you. Now I'd like to introduce our platform guest. First to bring greetings from the town of Dundas was to be Mayor Joe Bennett. Unfortunately, he was admitted to hospital on Thursday night, and our best wishes for his speedy recovery. However, he's asked Mary Jo Bennett, who is an ex-Parksider, to speak in his place. Mary Jo?
Thank you, Dean. I knew I'd have to adjust it. Thank you very much, Dean. My father, as Dean just mentioned, was admitted to hospital on Thursday, and we're hoping to pick him up after this gathering today, so he's doing very well. He asked me to speak on his behalf, so you'll have to be satisfied with Mary Jo Bennett instead of Mayor Jo Bennett today. My father asked me to speak about all the achievements made by high school students throughout the last 25 years, and this is the great spirit that the students, past and present, and faculty members have made, have shown their high school. The time and effort spent on this reunion speaks clearly on behalf of that spirit. And all the people that I saw last night at the Golden Memories tent, all crammed in there, speak for that spirit as well. I'd like to present Mr. Bruce, the principal, with this proclamation. It reads, whereas Parkside High School is celebrating its 25th anniversary, 1960 through 1985, and whereas many former high school students and faculty members who reside in various parts of the world will be taking part in this silver anniversary in the valley town of Dundas, and whereas this quarterly event is important to both the graduates and the faculty in renewing acquaintances, friendships, and remembering the many championships, games, and the great honors bestowed on former Parkside High School students. I, Mayor J.T. Bennett, now therefore proclaim May 31st, June 1st, and 2nd, 1985 as Parkside High School 25th anniversary reunion. On behalf of the Town Council and citizens of Dundas, I extend a very warm and sincere welcome to the many out-of-town guests attending this important weekend in Dundas. Signed, J.T. Bennett, Mayor, Town of Dundas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Jo. I'd like to introduce Dr. Jean Beck, a very familiar face around Parkside, who will bring greetings from the trustees.
Thank you, Dean. My fellow platform guests, special invited guests, and ladies and gentlemen. The last time that I saw most of you from a high school platform was when you graduated. And I, as a member then of the Board of Education, was pleased and privileged to give you your graduation certificates. On those occasions, I always enjoyed the view from the Parkside platform. You were a grand sight then, but you are still a grand sight today. The years have gone so quickly, and for me too, as I see so many familiar faces. Happy memories of events at this school keep rushing in. It is my great honor and privilege to express the delight that you are here and to bring you warm greetings from my colleagues on the Wentworth County Board of Education. We are very pleased and proud that so many of you believe that your high school days were so worth recalling that you have arranged your affairs to attend. That so many of you have come home is proof that what happened to you here was meaningful and rewarding. And for board members who tax the people and who spend their money for public education, this is truly satisfying. It has been and still is a great school. It is one which is developed so that you, too, have returned. As you visit with your former students, and hear of their wonderful accomplishments, of the careers and the families in which they're finding such great satisfaction, you should feel proud that you have contributed to their growth. On behalf of the board and of the citizens that we represent, I say thank you for your concern, for your zest for knowledge, and for your dedication to the education of this happy group here. And thank you all for being here to celebrate 25 years of this school's life in the Dundas community. And thank you, each and every one of you, for your own contribution to the Parkside story. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beck. Next, I'd like to introduce John Stevenson, Superintendent with the Wentworth County Board of Education and a former staff member of Parkside.
Dean, honored guests, and the hundreds of former Parkside students and teachers, it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm here in two capacities. My first capacity, I exercised last night what felt like 24 years in the theater tent. An experience which is still rolling me in terms of the kinds of faces I was seeing, but also those comments which keep coming at me, such as, I remember what you said way back. Well, I had to come home to roost sooner or later. My other capacity is as representing the administration here today. Clearly, the experiences we've had at this school and the reason why we're here today attests to the quality of what is occurring in this county. And I know that the administration is delighted to feel that they've been a part both of the past 25 years and of the present. And on their behalf, I'm delighted to welcome you here. Thank you.
And now as current principal at Parkside, and he was an active member of our committee's executive, Mr. Bob Bruce.
Thank you, Dean, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to welcome you back on behalf of the current staff and students of Parkside. We've certainly enjoyed getting ready for this day. One thing I must say, having been here for a few years, that I know that you people laid a very good foundation which gave us something to grow on. But our current students in this school take a second seat to no one. For example, one of the members of our band on my right, I see him sitting there, Tyler Bars, has just been accepted as the lone Canadian who has been accepted into the World College in Italy for next year and the following year. A fantastic singular honor. One of our students today led the 10K race, Greg Anderson, and did extremely well. For those of you who are sports-minded, I would point out that this year Parkside has won some 16 SASA Zone 1 and SASA championships. That's a record. Last night you had the opportunity to listen to our stage band in the gym, and they were very good, and we're very fortunate this morning to have with us the intermediate band under the direction of Miss Artie Pastemeyer, and you will be hearing a little bit more from them in a short time. While I have the chance, though, I would just like to say that the art students under Miss McMenemy's direction, Mr. Foote and Mr. Johnson and their fantastic crew that ran the 10K this morning, the music people, all the kids in the school got involved in this. We wanted you to have a good time. You're showing that you are. Thank you, and enjoy yourselves.
And just so we can break up the number of speeches and so we can hear it from the intermediate band again, we'll have a short break from the intermediate band. We were very excited to find out that every single principal that's been at this school was going to be returning this morning for these welcoming ceremonies. And I thank them all for coming back. So starting with 1960, they promised to keep this to 2 minutes. Mr. Carswell, don't forget. I'd like to introduce Howard Henderson, who was principal until 1962. Mr. Henderson?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely delighted. I never dreamed I would come back to this kind of gathering. You know, I had no idea what I was going to say, and as I went about the school and the grounds last night, it seemed to me that Parkside is somewhat like a rocket. I was there when the gantry was set up, and it was prepared for launching along with the assistance of all those fine men whose names you see on the brass plate inside. And we fired it. And after that, 6 booster rockets have been operating in this organization, and each one has contributed a tremendous amount of energy to it in his own way. And last night, ladies and gentlemen, under Bob Bruce, Parkside went into orbit. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and Jean, whom some of you will remember, who took a part in helping me get the school started, has met a great many of her old friends as well. Thank you very much.
The next principal was here from 1962 to 64, Mr. Ken Hunt.
Mr. Chairman, Mary Jo, Dr. Beck, honored guests, and friends of Parkside. It's a great day and a great weekend to join together and celebrate Parkside's 25th anniversary. And I don't have a single major decision that I have to make today. At one time I thought I had to make a decision as to whether I would prepare my long, dull speech or whether I would settle for my short, dull speech. But Dean was very good to solve that for me when he, in his invitation for me to speak, suggested that I keep my oratory to less than 2 minutes. Now that's not a restriction or limitation in my case. Actually, I regard it as a compliment. I can tell all I know in less time than that. But seriously, my job this morning was to give a sincere welcome to the staff and the students who were attending Parkside from 1962 to 64. Those were challenging years. Parkside is expanding so rapidly, and I'm very proud of the job that the staff and students did during those 2 years. I think they got Parkside off to, along with the 2 preceding years under Mr. Henderson, they got Parkside off to a great start. Parkside's first 25 years have been great years, and I have every confidence that the future holds great promise. To those returning, I hope you have a great time meeting old friends, recalling old memories, pleasant memories. Cherish them. They are something that can't be replaced. And who knows, maybe in 25 years' time, we'll be permitted to come back and celebrate Parkside's 50th anniversary. That would be great. In the meantime, to the friends of Parkside and to Parkside, all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Gordon Carswell was principal from 1964 to 69, and he has promised to keep it to 2 minutes.
Hey, grads, commercial grads, of the 60s. You remember this piece of work that you donated to Parkside? That was the only revolution that I couldn't put down. What a great bunch. Really tremendous. To all those people who roamed the halls here at Parkside from 64 to 74, I send my warmest wishes. I want you to know that I hope that you have reached great wealth, that you are continuing to have good health, and that God is speeding you on your way. Bless you. Bless you. Have a good time. And Dean, that has to be less than 2 minutes.
Mr. Lloyd Kirkpatrick was the principal at Parkside for the longest time. No. It seemed like a long time when he was here. From 69 to 76, and I'm proud to have been a student during that time. Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Thank you very much, Chairman Dean, platform guests, ladies and gentlemen. This has just been a delightful experience. And to add to the delight this morning, you have no idea what a satisfying experience it was to see Dean running around trying to get this motley crew organized and up here. It was just so much fun to be giving him as much problems as he used to give me. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it. And if there are any problems at all with the organization, I can explain what happened because I was out there the day the soccer crossbar fell on Dean's head. From the stories and the flood of memories that came back to all of us last night down in that tent, it just came back, and as I was talking to some of the former members of staff just a few minutes ago in the foyer, what a special place this was, and what a special place this has been, and what a special place this continues to be. When Dean was making his opening remarks, he commented on the fact that the staff created the atmosphere, and I think that certainly that's incredibly important. But it isn't just the staff that created the atmosphere in this school. It was a wonderful, wonderful group of young people. It's just been so delightful to be back with all of you. It's just been great to be sharing memories and sharing stories about things like trips to New Brunswick and trips to Winnipeg and trips to Expo. I can stand here and see two members of staff who had a very famous gunfight on the merry-go-round at Expo standing out there this morning, Gord Hall and Bob Morrill. I can see another guy who convinced me that it would be a great thing to go on a school trip in about 1972 to Quebec City, a trip of about 550 miles on one of those bloody awful orange school buses. It's an experience that I'll never forget, and I don't think Peter Smith will ever forget it either. The experiences that we've all had here are ones that we will all cherish. I think we all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the organizing committee because they just have done a fantastic time. I'm delighted to be here, and I look forward to seeing you all back here at the 50th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Next is Bob Begin, who is principal from 76 to 82, and we're very glad that he could be here with us today. Mr. Begin was just released from hospital a week ago after suffering a heart attack. We weren't sure whether he was going to be here, but he told his doctor that he was going to be here. Mr. Bob Begin.
Thanks, Dean, members of the platform, graduates, staff, and current students. I wouldn't miss this for the world. You know, I'm just about to the end of my career, if you like, and I consider it as one of the highest points, the 6 years that I spent with you at this particular school. Some of you may know that I was
brought up about 1,000 yards from this piece of property. And as some of the older grads will remember, before this school opened, it was a delightful apple orchard in here. And many a time we got chased out from trying to sample the wares. But it was a beautiful orchard, beautiful piece of ground. But I think probably something that's important, which you see in coming on either side, coming into this school and leaving it to go to another, that Parkside is known for the quality of whatever it did. Whether it was academics, whether it was athletics, whether it was music, whether it was achievement, that's what it was known by. Widely known. I didn't say widely loved, because nobody necessarily loves a winner, but certainly well known and well respected. And as I said, it was one of the highlights of my time to be able to spend 6 years with you. It's nice to see so many of you back and to share things with you. Thank you very much, Dean.
And finally, the principal who preceded Mr. Bruce and was actively involved in our early meetings with the reunion, and I'd like to thank him for his support during that time, Mr. Bob Newman.
Thanks, Dean. Members of the platform party, I know you're glad to see me because I'm almost the last speaker, especially those of you who are standing up. There were a lot of reminiscences that went on last night. I was surprised that Lloyd Kirkpatrick didn't beat me to one reminiscence. I don't know how many of you that are standing out here now were here for the great tricycle race down the hall, but I still figure I would have won if I hadn't fallen off. Luckily, that wasn't the same time that I broke my leg. I don't think I'd have ever lived it down if I'd had to say, well, you know, how did you break your leg, instead of falling in the school parking lot while I fell off a tricycle while racing the principal down the hall. There were many, many more remembrances last night. The speaker that spoke just before me, we have a lot of remembrances. We grew up together in the town of Dundas and went to what is now Central Public School and swiped apples from the same orchards, fell in the same creeks, and a lot of other things. And I think Bob Begin and I both find it hard to, when we were talking to students, we'd say, do you remember so-and-so, something like Cannon Hill? Now, I see enough gray hair around here. Former Mayor Everett remembers what Cannon Hill was, but most of the youngsters don't remember things like that, so we have to be careful that we're not thinking back too far. I don't know whether my time is almost up, but as Dean mentioned, I got in on the beginnings, but the hard part as far as the organization was left to Dean and his crew and the present principal, Bob Bruce. And I know from the many comments that I've heard here that everybody enjoyed it. It's been a tremendous last night. It's going to be a tremendous day today, a tremendous evening tonight. I'm glad I was able to come back. I haven't left and gone too far away, but thank you for inviting me, and welcome to all those people that I knew and were with me here at Parkside in my 2 stints here. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. I'd like to have just one last big round of applause for all our principals who came back with us today. I missed a welcome to Bev Henry, who's a current trustee. Thank you for coming today. And I'd also like to notice this rug hooking on the front of the podium. The GAA from this year prepared this, and it's in honor of our 25th anniversary, and I'll thank them very much for putting that together. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes, but this is the end. I'd like to introduce all of our directors. I said before that these people, it could not have been done, and every one of them put in an equal amount of time and effort. If all the directors could start to gather by this corner, I'd like to introduce them in alphabetical order. Please come forward up to the stage when your name is called. Peter Booker, Peter was the Golden Memories tent director, as I mentioned before. Peter graduated in 1972, and he had a well-organized committee of about 15 people, and they met almost as often, I think, as the main committee did. A week ago, Peter handed me a wad of acknowledgments and permits. I swear they were that thick to get that tent put up down there. He just did an outstanding job. Peter and his associate Dave were up all night last night cleaning the tent out, because that tent has to be down before noon today for a baseball game. And I'd just like to thank him, and he did an outstanding job. Peter Booker. Peter promised me he would be here. I think he's gone for a nap. Mr. Bob Bruce, the current principal, has been a tremendous help, and he was actively involved in all our meetings since coming to Parkside as principal in February. Mr. Bruce. Next is Mr. Alex Callan. Alex is a staff member in the guidance office, and he's been here since 1969, and he was in charge of advertising and publicity. Mr. Callan? It'll be interesting to note as we go what a diverse group was put together. There are teachers and students here from right from the 60s to the 80s, and we all got together and everything worked out great. The next person is Linda Carson, ex-Booker. Linda graduated in 1967 and was one of the directors in charge of this evening's reception and dance at the Hamilton Convention Center. And you'll see tonight the special touches that she's added to make tonight extra special. Linda Carson. Next is Sheila Chambers, formerly McCammon, who graduated in '68. Sheila was our student contact director, and with a committee of 35 volunteers, found over 3,000 names and addresses for our first mailing. Sheila Chambers. Next is Mr. Al Duncan, who ran in the 10K run this morning. He's been a staff member since 1970 and was also involved in the dance and reception tonight, as well as coordinating our special groups. Mr. Duncan.
Now, your